Good evening. Welcome members to this meeting of the Finance and General Purposes Committee of Biggleswade Town Council this second day of December 2025. First, the meeting formalities. This is a reminder to meeting attendees that this is a formal meeting. I can advise that members of the public will be given an opportunity to speak during public open session, but not at other times. The meeting is being filmed, and by being present, attendees are deemed to have agreed to be filmed and to the use of those images and sound recordings. I can advise that attendees should not disclose any personal information of individuals, as this would infringe the data protection rights of that individual. May I please ask everyone to mute their microphones when not speaking? Thank you. Now moving on, apologies for absence. We have apologies from Councillor Russell, Councillor Knight, Councillor Thomas, Councillor Woodhead. All other members of the committee are present. Item number 2 on the agenda is declarations of interest. Firstly, any disclosable pecuniary interest in any agenda item? Are there any disclosable non-pecuniary interests in any agenda item? None for either of those. Chairman's announcements are, no, it's not specifically this committee, but I think this committee would at least like to thank the officers and staff who all made a tremendous job of the Christmas lights switch on Friday. They started at 5 and finished about midnight, I think, and I don't know whether anyone went into the next day, but I thought it was an excellent day, and I think we should pass our thanks on to them from this committee, although I'm sure the Mayor and the full council will do that next week. Thank you. Item 4 is a public open session. There are no members of the public present in the building, and there's none online. So we've got no invited speaker at number 5. So we're on to item number 6, members' questions. Have any members got questions, please? If there are no questions, we will move on to minutes and recommendations of meetings. Firstly, this is for accuracy only and approval. The minutes and minutes of the meeting of this committee held on the Tuesday, the 16th of September 2025. I'll go through them page by page in the pack order. Page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, page 10. Is it your wish that I sign these as a true and correct record? Thank you. Item number 8 is matters arising. Again, I'll run through them in the same page order. Page 6, page 7, page 8, page 9, and page 10. Thank you. Right, items now for consideration are basically relating to fees and charges. You've got a schedule here before you of various fees which relate to a report by Mr. Bohr. I think all members will have read the report, so unless there's any specific points you'd wish to raise, Mr. Bohr, we'll go further, members, but nothing to say. No. I think the report is self-explanatory. We've all been through it. I think all the committees have been through this and have approved that. And about the only type one I think this is specifically for ourselves is the Orchard Community Centre charges. So are members happy to note the report and recommend to council that these fees be adopted?
Chairman, if I may. I'm quite happy that I had a separate conversation with Mr. Bohr. I did raise as a concern about the charges for particularly for the smaller room, but I'm quite happy that we're making the right decision going forward. So, and I think I understand that we'll be reviewing those fees over the coming year, and if we feel that there's a need to make a change, that we can review that in due course. So happy with that. Thank you.
Thank you for those comments, Councillor Foster. Any further comments? So we have a recommendation to council that we adopt the fees as set out? Moved and seconded. All those in favour, please signify. That's achieved some remarkable results, I think, overall looking at this, but this is a much longer report. Is there anything? Sorry, is there anything you wish to say at the moment? Because we've all read it, I'm sure.
Thank you, Chair. Not much to add. The only thing I will say is if we look at the recommendations recommendation E, all the above resolutions are subject to further Finance and General Purpose meeting on the 6th of January and a precept meeting on 20th of January 2026.
Thank you. Yes, we do not actually formally approve anything. We just recommend it for the time being on what we know at present. Fortunately, I don't think there are any need to changes this year to the budget as a result of the national budget. Our budget was sound beforehand, I'm pleased to say. Mr. Tarrant, do you wish to say something at this stage?
Only to say that obviously this is built on firm foundations. There's been detailed conversations with each standing committee. This report actually is all but a replica of what's gone before. And obviously the only big unknown in the room is when the chartered surveyor comes back with the assessment of our full capital analysis. That's really the big unknown in the room. But that won't be, obviously we're not aware of that yet. When we are, we can factor that into the conversations. But the current state of play is what it is.
Thank you. Members, your comments, please.
If I may. One of the things that I picked up on, and I do appreciate that we've been right the way through the papers, and each committee has been through each of their growth requests and cost pressures. And as part of that process, there were things that we did want to bring forward and things that we didn't bring forward. So appreciate that we've got a number here that's a proposed preset amount, and I'm not again looking to sort of add additional here, but I think what would be maybe helpful is where we made some recommendations of things we didn't want to bring forward because of the pressure on the precept this year. It might be worthwhile including those things that haven't been, at least having detail where those are not included, so that members have. And this is a view, so I'm happy to discuss it. So I'm not looking to create additional uncertainty, but what I'm looking to perhaps understand is so that members are very clear where there were additional items that we might have included that we chose not to include. Is it for us? Do we want to present those again, or are we happy that what we've got here is enough? And because there were a number of items that we felt we weren't going to include, and that's almost suggesting, well, why don't we bump up the precept? I'm not suggesting we do that. I'm just saying we don't have a clear indication of things that we haven't included. If I'm making myself clear, I'm not sure I am.
Thank you, Councillor Foster. I know Mr. Tarrant wishes to comment. Do any other members wish to comment before I ask Councillor Agnew?
I was wondering whether what you mean is that we keep the list of things that potentially should be within our radar, say for next year, as and when we are discussing further budget and we would like to revisit them. But do they need to be included in official paperwork is my question. Perhaps we could just create a SharePoint document where members of F&GP and RF4 would just know that it's there. I don't know, that's my interpretation of what you're saying, but maybe I'm not.
Perhaps if I come back, we don't have the information here now of what we've rejected, what we haven't brought forward. So let's say we were in a situation where we chose not to do something else in the final precept meeting. We don't have a list of other things that we could replace it with in the papers. And that is we've chosen not to do certain things to hit a particular number, maybe, and we don't have if we decide not to, I don't know, have certain things increased, or we don't have the detail of what it could be replaced with, that we might. I would just like to see the information there so that we can still reject it, maybe, but also have it to say these things are not included and the reasons that we've made a decision. But if other members feel that that's not the right thing to do, I'm not suggesting we, my way is the only way, and Councillor Agnew, that might be the right way forward. I'm just open to the comment.
I think if I may come in here, because I think I'm partially responsible for the resolution recommendations that are here. We've got at item D, the 25,000 there, because when this came up and we found that we actually had a bit more headroom than we'd anticipated a month ago, I felt that we weren't sure about what the council wanted at that stage, and the council wasn't sure what it wanted. I felt that if we had that 25,000 in there, that could cover some of the issues that you were raising if it came up, and that does give flexibility, I think, possibly for members to come back to the clerk and the finance officer, Mr. Boer, to put those in if required before we actually get to the final precept matters in January. But it's there so that we've could cover the issues that you're looking at, and also the capital needs that may come out from the review of the survey, because I don't believe we've got the survey yet, and we're not expecting that until after the 9th of December.
By the end of this week, we've been told that possibly by the end of this week, we will receive the surveyor's report.
So if we have the surveyor's report, I think that should at least be the option to be referred to in the council meeting next week, even if you haven't been able to have a copy of the paper because it hasn't been received at that stage. But if it's included in the papers for the agenda, then at least we can deal with it without having to ignore it because we haven't followed the procedures. So, sorry, Mr. Tarrant, you wanted to say something.
I partly agree with what you said, but I partly don't. So the figure that's now been put in, of course, is an additional safeguard which relates to the capital reserve. In the previous year, members agreed an investment of 25,000 that would go in. This is a further 25,000, so an overall investment of 50,000 into the capital reserve. Capital reserve at the moment is around about 66, 67. Yeah. So this in itself is the capital reserve. Yeah. And obviously the accounting guidelines consider that you can add the capital reserve to the general reserve, and then that's your overall 3 months of your BER. So there is some logic associated with it. But ordinarily, you wouldn't use capital funds for revenue matters. That's an additional safeguard because we don't know what we don't know.
Yes.
Going back to what Councillor Foster was saying, what we've tried to do this year is to build a simplistic budget based on facts that we don't want to agree in additional levels of growth, conscious of what we've been doing over the last 5 years. We want to be as sensible and as fiscally thoughtful as we possibly can. The outcome of those very, very detailed conversations is quite simple, and it's described in the report. As we know, the standing committees have gone through this in massive amounts of detail and have agreed to things that they thought were reasonable. And it might be helpful to have a list of growth items, but it is what it is. Going back to what Councillor Agnew was saying, we do every base budget anyway. We zero base every single budget. So we don't need to do what you're suggesting because, of course, when we build it from the ground up, yeah, we'll do the same thing that we did this year. And we always do that as accountants. It's the same thing that we always do. So, yeah. But what we have got, hopefully, is a simplified version of a budget, conscious that actually normally we spend hundreds of officer hours trying to do something. So this looks like a sensible outcome.
Thank you, Mr. Tarrant. I think that also, to put it into context, a month ago we had no idea that the figures would be as they were because we've had a 3% reduction effectively in the superannuation contribution. So when we were, or when the council was consulted on all these things, we were expecting a very different figure from the figure that we actually were presented with last week in council for coming to the budget, which is why it's changed over the last month.
And the council tax base.
And the council tax base, but there were two things that we weren't expecting. So the figures all changed considerably because of that, which is why council came to the decision to recommend what they did last week. So that is where we're at the moment. Now, I think all your points are incredibly valid, and I think officers will take those on board for the appropriate meetings. But any further comments from members before we look at take the recommendations? In that case, are you, if members are happy, I can take all the 5 recommendations in one block, or alternatively, we'll take, if there's any dissent on that, we'll take them one by one. So is it somebody prepared to propose all 5 on block?
Chairman, I'm happy to propose all 5 in one block.
Thank you. Is that seconded? That's seconded in a couple of places. All those in favour, please signify. Thank you. All the changes are, the variations are set out and are clearly marked, and you can see, members will be able to see them in blue, which are basically additional wording. May I have members' comments, please? Can we take it then that everybody is happy with that? In which case, could somebody approve the policy?
Chairman, if I may, I'd like to propose that we adopt the grant policy as laid out.
Thank you. Is that seconded, please? Seconded in a couple of places. No further comment. All those in favour, please signify. That's covered. Thank you, Mr. Bohr. You're doing very well tonight. We haven't called. Let's hope it continues. Right. Item 9D is the credit control policy. I think this is very much more a procedural element rather than a council element. Again, the changes are clearly set out. Mr. Bohr, I don't think you need to add to it. All members have read the report and the amendments are set out clearly in blue. Have members got any observations or comments, please?
It seems to be fairly straightforward. They're a positive amendment, I think.
So would somebody be prepared to recommend that the document be adopted at the next town council meeting? That's seconded. That's all those in favour, please signify. That's carried. Thank you, members. Item 9E, basically mayoral expenses, which actually covers a little bit more than mayor's expenses. It's civic expenses generally. Again, Mr. Bohr, you've produced the documents for this. Would you like to make a comment, please?
I just wanted to say thank you to all members for their input and their critique and comments. And that's all.
Thank you. Members, your comments, please. Councillor Agnew.
I just wanted to inquire, perhaps I wasn't following the email thread. On the page 54, somebody made an addition in the paragraph, expenditure is likely to be, for example, etc. And in the example, we have cost related to twinning. Is it something that we now consider as part of the official expenditures, or are we using this just as a good example of it? Because I thought that particular topic has not been fully discussed. Just wanted to ensure whether we need or not to put it in the document.
So Councillor Agnew is right to say that there hasn't been a final debate associated with the level of investment required for both elements of twinning, if that's to be appropriate. So that has not been signed off by council. There's not an absolute resolution, but all it is an example. That's all it is. Yeah. So there's no determination of budget yet. It's just giving you an example of the type of expenditure. That's all. It's nothing more than that.
Effectively, it's an example, but twinning would seem to fall under a civic function rather elsewhere than in the budget. So it's just an example. But members, your comments, please.
I take great delight in reviewing the mayor's policies. You know, I think we had a very healthy discussion about the mayor's policy a number of years ago, not least to discuss whether the mayor can or cannot have a suit as part of the allowance. I remember the conversation very well. I think this, in all seriousness, there's some sensible wording in here. I think The fact that it's all built into one policy, I think, is helpful. It makes it clear. So I don't really think there's anything more needs to be added. I think you've covered the fact that the public transport, there's nothing really additional to add. Is there any reason, just a matter of interest though, why we've changed the travel claims thing to do an expense claim form rather than through Citrus? Is there a particular reason?
Well, I might answer this in part because when we were considering it, I don't think members were aware of the Citrus claim part of it, and it was just, I think, trying to simplify it. And yes,
Citrus is an employee salary system. It also deals with leave and absence. It's not a member one. So members want to be remunerated, they go through a separate system, they'll go through BACS. It's as simple as that. Citrus, the only thing we ever use Citrus from, and the previous mayor will be aware, that is to sign off the clerk's annual leave.
So why it was in there in the first place, one wonders, but never mind. Any further comments, members, please? Or is someone prepared to move the recommendation as set out?
I just have a question, Chairman, if I may.
Yeah, most certainly.
I'm just looking at this. It talks about expenditures. Acceptable claims include mileage to and from events. And then in brackets, public transport fares and/or taxi fare if no other alternative. I just feel that's not entirely clear what that means, actually. When it's mileage to your car mileage, yes, or public transport fare if you want to go on the train or the bus or something. You know, it's not clear that if that, I assume that is what it.
Mr. Tarrant will answer that.
It's not clearly stated. It's just not clear, I think.
It's very simple. So the mayor can use their own vehicle to and from an event that they're representing the council. If for some reason they're unable to use a vehicle or not, we had a mayor actually had that the other day, then they can either use a vehicle that they might procure from somewhere. If they don't have that and they're not able to have a vehicle, then they can use public transport.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
No, I just think that all I'm saying is the way it's worded is not clear to me. Maybe it's just me.
Chairman, I think I'm not sure whether the wording is whether it needs to be in brackets. Actually, I think it's quite reasonable for it to be a separate line if it needs to be. So, but it's for me clear enough. You can use public transport, or you can get a taxi if you need to. If you haven't got a vehicle.
Yeah.
So I think that's what we're saying, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe instead of the brackets, put mileage to and from events, comma, public transport fares and stroke or a taxi fare if no other alternative, and leave the second bracket off as well.
Minor wording change, I think. I agree. I think it's, if we can just maybe tweak the wording so if it needs to be a bit clearer, but I think it's clear enough.
Yeah, I'm not arguing with the principle.
Subject to that point, I'll grasp the nettle at this stage and recommend that we approve the recommendation, including producing the document for adoption at the next town council meeting.
I'd like to second, if I may, Chairman.
Thank you. All those in favour, please signify. Right, we move now to item 10, that is very easily dealt with as there are none. Next item is number 11, the public open session. We still have no members of the public present. Are there any online? So again, that is easily dealt with. The next item is to deal with exempt items. Could somebody move the appropriate resolution so that we can go into exempt session, please? Thank you. Seconded. Yes, all those in favour? We're now in exempt session. We will now pour.
Can you let us know when we're off?
We'll now pause until